And guys, in this next news story, a man who once led the Gooch Gang has died in prison. Just want to say rest in peace, Lee Amos, who was also known as Cabbo, and my condolences go out to your family. He was jailed in 2009 for the drive-by killing of Tyrone Gilbert. G4S confirmed that he passed away at HMP Oakwood and an investigation is underway. Amos was serving a minimum of 35 years over Gilbert's killing and was part of the Gooch Gang, which controlled Manchester. After they were jailed, it was reported shootings fell by 92%. Amos, known as Cabbo, was regarded by the police as the Gooch Gang's best weapon, as he was cool, calm and collected. Gilbert was shot in the chest and killed at the wake of Ukal Chin. Chin had been shot in an ambush by the Gooch Gang's head honcho, Colin Joyce, also known as Piggy, as he and Amos believed him to be a member of a rival gang known as the Longsight Crew. In April 2009, following a 6-month trial at Liverpool Crown Court in which 6 former Gooch Gang members testified against them, Amos and Joyce were convicted of murder, attempted murder and possessing firearms. Joyce, who was then 29, was jailed for life and told he was serving a minimum of 39 years, while Amos was banged up for 35 years. Following his death, a HMP Oakwood spokesperson said a prisoner at HMP Oakwood, Mr. Lee Amos, aged 48, passed away on Monday, the 22nd of April 2024. His next of kin have been informed and a family liaison officer has been appointed. As with all deaths in prison, this will be investigated by the Prisons and Probation Ombudsman. So guys, some sad news coming out there. Once again, I just want to say rest in peace, Lee, and my condolences go out to your family. So guys, what we'll do is we'll just go into a little bit more with regards to why the Gooch Gang were jailed. As I said, that the removal of this gang from the streets in the city of Manchester was claimed as a victory by Greater Manchester Police, who pointed out the fact that fatal shootings had decreased 92% since Joyce and Amos were arrested. All the other people that were arrested were either related to the murders of Ukal Chin and Tyrone Gilbert, who were shot in separate drive-by shootings in 2007 because of their apparent links to the Longsight Crew, the Donington Gang, the Gooch Gang's rivals. During the investigation into their deaths, Greater Manchester Police uncovered evidence of a drug dealing network which Joyce and Amos's gang had run for 4 years, and they subsequently charged 11 people. And at the time, the Detective Chief Inspector, Steve Eckersley, who led the investigation, said, "I'm absolutely delighted that Ukal and Tyrone's killers are behind bars and that this ruthless gang are off the streets." He said, "From the beginning, this was an incredibly complicated and protracted inquiry, and when we scratch the surface of the 2 murders, it uncovers a much wider and well-organised conspiracy to possess guns and sell drugs. This is by far the biggest trial of the gang members Greater Manchester Police has run, and the implications of the convictions for the city are immense." He went on to say, "Make no mistake, the men who led this gang are amongst the most dangerous men Manchester has ever seen. They built a network of foot soldiers who had easy access to guns and were prepared to use deadly violence to enforce their will and settle scores with rivals. They had absolutely no qualms about firing these guns in public and did not care who they hurt. They were not scared of any police." So Ukal Chin was shot dead on the 15th of June 2007, may he rest in peace, as he drove his car through Longsight in South Manchester. The prosecution's case was that Mr. Chin was earmarked for death after being spotted earlier that day by Joyce, who believed that Mr. Chin was present at the murder of Stephen Amos, who was Lee Amos's brother. As we know, Lee Amos has sadly passed away today. Rest in peace, Lee. So Lee's brother was shot dead in 2002. At around 6:45 in the night, a silver Audi pulled up alongside Mr. Chin's car and a gunman in the rear passenger seat shot 7 times. 3 bullets hit Mr. Chin, causing him to crash the car, and he was pronounced dead in hospital. 5 weeks later, on the 27th of July 2007, Tyrone Gilbert was killed as he attended an impromptu wake for Mr. Chin. Just before midnight, 3 cars arrived at a house in Frobisher Close, where the wake was being held, and one of the cars, which was a Honda Legend, rolled its windows down and 3 gunmen opened fire. Mr. Gilbert was killed by a single bullet to the heart. During the murder investigation codenamed Operation Silverstone, officers discovered that the gang operated a drug empire which flooded the streets of Manchester with Class A drugs and relied on a network of street dealers. The drug operation made the gang profits, which they spent on a considerable armory of shotguns, handguns, machine guns, and revolvers. Between August 2007 and May 2008, 11 Gooch members were arrested. So those were Amos and Joyce, as well as Aaron Campbell, Narada Williams, Ricardo Williams, Hashan Shah, Aaron Alexander, Ricky Moss, Kyle Wint, Tyler Joel Mullings, and Gonu Hussein. They're all from Greater Manchester. These convictions were a victory for the police in Greater Manchester in their ongoing war against drugs at the time, basically because there was a vicious turf war which was being fought in Manchester's deprived Moss Side state since the 80s. So the two gangs were the Gooch Gang and the Doningtons, named after streets that have been since torn down, rebuilt and renamed in a bid to extinguish their association with the mobs. At the height of the warfare which earned Manchester the nickname Gunchester, the two groups were responsible for 27 deaths and 250 non-fatal shootings in 5 years. The youngest victim was a 13-year-old Benji Stanley, as he was shot dead as he queued for a takeaway in 1993. In a time that many underworld figures with associations to the gangs were convicted, but other trials repeatedly collapsed after witnesses were terrorized and forced into not testifying. Also due to their failure to solve the high-profile murders such as that of Jesse James, the 15-year-old shot dead as he rode his bike through the estate in 2006, many in Moss Side's community do not trust the police. That fact was not lost on this Detective Chief Inspector Eckersley, who praised the courage of 6 witnesses who were persuaded by the promise of voice-changing technology which would ensure their identities remained secret, and they dared to testify against their bosses, Amos and Joyce, and their crew. The detective said it is no exaggeration to say that these people risked their lives and their bravery should be applauded. Their actions helped remove killers from our streets. Without their help, we may never have been able to put these killers behind bars. We needed inside information. And guys, in this next news story, a Luton drug dealer who was stopped in a stolen vehicle with drugs and a firearm has been jailed for 7 years. Zain Jaferi, who's 25, was sentenced for playing a significant role in the operations of the Face County drug line. Bedfordshire police launched an investigation after the vehicle Jaferi was travelling in was stopped by officers in August 2022 after it was flagged as being on false plates. A search of the vehicle, which had been stolen during a burglary in Derbyshire a month prior, led to officers finding a sawn-off shotgun, 10 rounds of ammunition, cash, various number plates and several mobile phones. Jaferi was also found in possession of 150 individual wraps of Class A drugs. Along with Jaferi, there was another man, Ariane, who's 18 years old, from Luton, and a teenage boy. They were also in the car. Following a forensic examination, the phone seized from the car's occupants and receipts of further intelligence, a warrant was executed at an address in Luton later that year. There, officers seized a large amount of crack and knives. There was another man, Ali Koliari. He was subsequently arrested on suspicion of being involved in the supply of Class A drugs. During a 2-week trial at Luton Crown Court, the jury were presented with videos from the phone showing one of the gang members in a wooded area firing the recovered shotgun. Detectives also found numerous messages that revealed the gang's enterprise, and one message read, "On banging W&B, 3." Experts told the court that the coded messages indicated to recipients that the gang members were available for orders and offered good quality crack, as referenced by W and B's. The convicted dealers went as far as detailing promotional prices as well, and Jaferi, who was convicted early this month after a jury found him guilty of being in possession of a firearm without a license, was sentenced to 5 years imprisonment. He previously pleaded guilty to charge of conspiracy to supply crack and heroin and received a 2-year and 4-month sentence, which would be served consecutively. It's a 5 years imprisonment. Guys, there's a number of news stories.
He previously pleaded guilty to charge of conspiracy to supply crack and heroin and received a 2-year and 4-month sentence,